How long will it take you to get your money back from CPP? I'll show you how to read your statement of contributions, and in this video I'll also answer viewer comments. I've spent the last few weeks talking about CPP and why I think it's important for you to be cognizant of when you should turn this income source on in retirement. I have videos talking about the break even, why somebody should consider taking it early or consider delaying it, as well as other factors such as taxes, other sources of income, life expectancy, and what your potential estate goals are. One thing that keeps coming back up is this fact that this is a contributory benefit, and people have this feeling of, I want to get back what I'm owed. Watch the basics so that you can learn how much you've really put in and what you'll have to keep putting in if you're still working. But the long and the short of it is that many people are saying, I want my money back. I paid into this my whole life. My whole life. Of course, there's some truth to that, but let's address that. I get that sense of entitlement. I really do. I get that you want to get back what you are owed. That's only fair, right? So that got me thinking about, what am I really owed as a CPP contributor? How much have I actually put in? Well, you can log in to your My Service Canada and get your CPP statement of contributions, and it looks like this. Obviously, this sample one has been censored because this is private information. But for the most part, when my clients have this, they get drawn to the bottom numbers, the portion where it says retirement pension. It'll give you an estimate based on their current assumptions, your age, and what information they have about you. It'll say what you'll get next month at 65 or at 70. Since this video is not about the amount that you'll actually get, we can focus on that later. What I want you to look at now, though, will be the actual columns and the information they contain, what they mean. The first column you should look at is your base CPP contributions. The reason why there's now a base is because starting in 2024, we will have enhanced CPP contributions. That's for those who are earning above the yearly maximum pensionable earnings. You get to make additional contributions if you're earning more, but that means you should also benefit more once you're retired. When you look at yours, you will have a legend at the bottom. B stands for below basic exemption amount. If you've earned less than $3,500 in active income this year, even if you are over 18, you'd make no contributions. I know that some of you watching are business owners who are paying yourself solely in dividends, and somehow you see a salary declaration of $3,500 for your name. Your CPA paid you a salary without attracting CPP premiums. CS stands for credit split. If you elect to split your pensions after a divorce, perhaps, you'll see that. M is the years where you maxed out your premiums or your CPP contributions. S is for self-employed. As a non-incorporated individual, you get the opportunity to contribute for the employer portion and the employee portion. That's why there's a separate annotation for that. I just want to let you know and remind you and take note that the CRA is who you will declare children to. That's who you will declare dependent children to, not Service Canada. That's important for the child rearing years. The issue is Service Canada and the CRA are like estranged siblings. The CRA and the Service Canada don't really talk to each other. They're sort of friends, but they're not really. So make sure you report any years of reduced income because you are raising a child under 7. That's important because you can drop out child rearing years out of your CPP calculation. What that'll do is increase your eligibility and increase what benefit you're eligible for. When we create a retirement income plan, we ask our clients for this document and check it out. That's because as much as the government and its agencies think themselves to be perfect, they are not. If I can win my clients back $100 every month for 30 years plus inflation, that's a big deal. Another important piece of information you may see at the bottom of this document is the survivor's benefit estimate. Not much that you can really do here as far as our video is concerned. But if you have the statement of contributions and you're looking at the numbers, ask yourself this question. Will this be enough to help supplement my spouse if I passed early? When you have this information in this table, you can actually personally check how much you've put into the fund for yourself. I need this information right now to show you another simplified break-even calculation. Let's call it the CPP contribution break-even. When will my CPP benefits be worth more than my contributions? I can't show you a real statement of contributions, so I have to make a person up. Let's introduce our case study.
Hi, my name is Conan. Ever since I was young, I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. I was a real-life rocket boy. I finished school early and was recruited for a fairly high-paying job for that time.
I know that's unlikely to be you. There are some people like this, but the reason why I'm making this story up and I'm creating this case is because I want it to be a case where somebody maxes out their contributions from day one. Again, that's unlikely, but let's expand on the sentiment of having paid into the CPP my whole life. Let's go back to 1966, when Mustangs look like this and not like this, and they also sounded like this and not like a wind-up toy. That's because that's the first year the CPP in its current form was rolled out. I have contributory data from inception and assume that Conan contributed the maximum amount ever since he became eligible at 18. He would have contributed a total of $68,438.38. So how long will he need to be collecting CPP for until he breaks even? As of today, assuming that he's qualified for the maximum benefit, that's $1,306.57 monthly plus inflation, he would have to wait 4 years and 3 months before breaking even. After that, he would get more out of the CPP than he's ever put in. I would assume something similar for most people. So let's round it up to 5 years. 5 years. See, I already concede that taking CPP at 60 makes sense if you have a clear sign of reduced life expectancy. In fact, I encourage it. I'm working on a file right now where a client, unfortunately, was diagnosed with something serious and I have to make adjustments to their plan. But let's look at this comment here. Michael Ng commented that doing a financial plan until 90 is flawed because there is now a reduced and a revised life expectancy chart, one that I genuinely don't know or have any information on. Based on the 2023 FP Canada Assumptions Guideline, men that are 60 today have a 50% chance of living until they're 89 years old. 91 for women. No, this does not take into account the post-pandemic adjustments. Nothing that involves whatever Michael was talking about. But even at the reduced life expectancy that he's proposing, you would still be better off delaying it. If breaking even is all you wanted to do, check out my last CPP video about the break even. Now, yes, you can feel like you may not have long to live, according to Valerie's comment. But in this case, you only need to be on CPP income for 5 years and you'd get back your contributions. Do you really think you have less than 4.5 years to live, Val? Now, I'm not saying that to call you out, right? My point is that don't run the risk of not having enough money in your later years because you think you won't get back what you're owed. Statistically speaking, if you make it to 60, the probability of you making it to 80 and beyond is much higher than me. So to make a blanket statement that everybody and anyone should take their CPP early just because of your own sense of fairness is absolutely flawed. You can do what you want with your own CPP, but telling your friends and family to draw it early just so that you can get your contributions back can mean insufficiency for them later on in their lives. You won't have to deal with it, but they will. If you disagree with this video, hit the dislike button, send me some hate comments, I can take it. But when I make a plan for someone, I have a professional responsibility to give them the best shot at retirement. When you take advice from cousin Eddie because he thinks the CPP investment pool is broke while he's wearing his tinfoil hat, he's got no responsibility for you and any sort of prudence that's due to you. I'm not 60, obviously, so it may feel like this young guy knows nothing about aging and how it feels to grow old and worry about money. You're right about the first part. I have no first-hand experience. However, I do have dozens of great retirement stories as well as countless failed retirement stories that I can share with you. My mom is a social worker in the senior health services field. When I was in university, finishing up my accounting degree, I was already early in my career. I was taking some clients and I was studying for my CFP. Her work was near the university, so I drove her every morning, and most days, because I already volunteered for the facility anyway, they would just let me study there. I would study there until it's time for us to go home. I met a lot of people in long-term and palliative care, as well as in hospice, meaning they have very limited time left. During that period, I also worked for a homeless shelter. I worked at the Salvation Army Center downtown, worked in the finance department, and I had part-time as a client support worker. People end up in these situations for all sorts of reasons. I've met and heard people and heard many amazing stories about great lives, but there are just some that are truly gut-wrenching. I've met couples who are married for 50 years who are forced to live apart because they can't get subsidized housing that would accommodate both of them together. I remember this lady saying that after all her care costs and accommodations, she's got $50 left every month. She had to wait every 2 or 3 months for a haircut because a volunteer would only come in that often. I have dozens of these stories because when you go to a facility like that, a lot of the clients, all they need is an ear. All they need is somebody that could listen. And unfortunately, I've seen true suffering. So I take this financial lack seriously. I know absolutely where I don't want to end up, where I don't want a lot of you to end up. So allow me to tie this back into retirement planning. I would rather take the risk of passing early and feeling like the government owes me money and owes me a few $1,000s over living 1 year too long in financial hardship. The risk of being wrong and not using all your CPP benefit entitlement is better than the way I saw how some people lived. So I accept the fact, publicly I'm saying that, I accept the fact that I can be wrong in our assumptions about CPP. A big part of my work is about calibrating. If we have new information that'll lead us to change and take CPP sooner for a given client, we will. Imagine being on a straight road, a freeway. You're on cruise control and you're following the GPS, but a few kilometers ahead, you see a broken down vehicle on the lane that you're in. Wouldn't you switch lanes? Wouldn't you slow down and make adjustments? You're still on track because the GPS says you are. Your plan says you are. But there are decisions to be made as you face new information. I'm willing to make adjustments. So should you. But do not make permanent decisions just because of a sense of entitlement. The CPP case study should be out now. You could watch that here. Otherwise, we have an entire library of information about CPP, OAS, and retirement planning. I hope this video was helpful. Talk to you soon.